So y'all, it's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building. I'm gonna be breaking down Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. This is an awesome title fight they added to UFC 260. Man, this is a great fight, man. A great co-main event. I'm actually more hyped about. Actually, nah, I wouldn't say I'm more hyped about the main event, but I'm really hyped about equally. I say I'm equally hyped. I think there's more story to the main event than this, but I mean, this is a great matchup, and both guys have a lot to prove when you really think about it. Volkanovski coming off those, that controversial fight with Max Holloway, he has to legitimize himself as the number one guy in the featherweight division, as the champion, as the king, the emperor, the guy that stands tall from the whole division. He has to represent himself as that because people are doubting him. And Ortega, he has to come out here and prove his supporters right. His supporters for a long time said this guy is a future champion. He will hold gold. He is the future. That was a key phrase that people described Ortega with. And they kept saying he is the future. He is the best goddamn featherweight on the planet. And he kind of did prove it against Korean Zombie, but now he can take it to the next level and capture gold and maybe run it back with Max Holloway and maybe get a W. You never know. But I think there's a lot of things on the line for both of these guys, a lot of things they got to prove and a lot of things they can gain and a lot of things they can lose. If Volkanovski loses this matchup, I like the guy a lot, but what the people will say about him and his championship reign, they'll discredit him. And if Ortega loses again, in another championship fight, he's already been through it. He went through hell after his loss to Max Holloway. Because here's the thing, y'all, and nothing against Ortega, but they were hyping this man up and they were counting out Max. I get it. Max had, he failed some weight cuts and it looked like, oh, this or that. They were saying he might retire, and Max went out there and literally destroyed him. And I'm not here to talk about that actual fight yet. I will be putting clips in here, by the way, but I'm just, setting the building blocks for this fight. But yet, that was a fall from grace when you really think about it in terms of popularity. And then he took 2 years off, and Korean Zombie was rising, and his fan base was rising. And a lot of people were talking a lot of shit about Ortega, because, I think some people feel like they got tricked. Happily, I didn't get tricked in that matchup. I knew Max was going to do what he was going to do to him. But I think some people felt that way, and they were like, oh, this guy's trash or overrated or whatever. And then he went out there and proved something, and he had a real big chip on his shoulder. You could tell, going into that matchup and leaving that matchup. So, it is what it is. And, that matchup with Korean Zombie, I give him a lot of credit for going out there and doing what he did, because he had a lot of, man, if he would have lost that matchup to Zombie, man, people would have made fun of him. Korean Zombie whooped your ass after you tried to slap a civilian and stuff like that. And instead, he whooped on, I think the guy's name is Jay Park. He whooped on Jay Park and Zombie, so that's kind of sad. So he did his thing. I got to give him credit for that. So a lot of this is a really big matchup for both of these guys. But enough talking about the story and the background of this fight. Let's talk about these stats, man. Volkanovski, the champion of the division, comes in with a record of 22-1. Fights out Australia, age 32, height 5'6", and a reach of 71, which is really interesting for a shorter guy to have that kind of long reach. That's actually really impressive in my humble opinion. And then, Ortega is the number 2 featherweight in the world. Comes in a record of 15-1. Fights out of California, age 30, a height of 5'8", so he is taller, but a reach of 69. So Volkanovski does have the reach advantage. Even though he's the shorter guy, he does have the reach advantage. So this is a really interesting aspect of the matchup. But, if we go and look at a guy like Ortega's resume, leading up to this matchup, I did a really good fight breakdown on it. But he has been through the ringer, man, and I think it's really interesting. You look at his last 5 fights and what he's accomplished. His fight with Renato Moicano, I started off with there, man. That was a scrap, y'all. That was a great scrap. It was back and forth. They were throwing leather. That was I think it's still on YouTube. I implore a lot of you guys, go watch that fight. That is a awesome fight to watch. Uh, Man, it is a fun fight. Renato Moicano did really good. I thought I had it 1-1 going into the third round. I thought both guys won a round. And, man, it just makes you consider, like, man, how good Moicano was at featherweight, man, and somewhat of a fall from grace recently. But, that, Moicano, I think he made a few mistakes going for takedowns. He got a late takedown in the second round, and I think he thought he could keep on doing that, and he did it. And, Ortega cinched up that guillotine and tapped him out, and it was just an amazing fight. And that's the thing you see through Ortega's career, at least in his last 4 fights, and not including, I would say I dismissed the zombie fight, but he has that killer instinct about no matter what situation he is, it's just a weird factor about him that he just thrives in bad situations. He's just able. When things get tough, he gets tougher. He's very durable. I'll give him that, and he's very strong. And it's really, really interesting. And then his fight with Cub Swanson, man. He just was too big for Cub. I think he was just too much of a big man. Like, it was weird just seeing Cub. Cub looked small in front of him. Cub had a lot of good moments. There were certain things I seen that Volkanovski can have a lot of success with. Cub landed some really good overhand shots. Even back to Renato Moicano, something I think Volkanovski can really look at is Moicano did a really great level change. Where he was feinting the level change and then threw the overhand, and he caught him with it. Cub Swanson, same thing, caught him with a good overhand. A lot of really good moments in that fight. And, obviously he got tripped up and almost choked out in the first round. That was crazy, man. Like, the thing about Ortega, his wrestling it's really interesting because this matchup with Volkanovski, it's going to be chess. They're going to be playing a chess match here. And it's not going to be like, one guy's going to dominate the other. Maybe it can be, but it's going to be, in my humble opinion, a really, really competitive fight. I think it's going to be super, super competitive. And basically, it's who can impose their game plan the best, really. And they have a similar kind of game plan, low key, but which is interesting. But back to the Cub Swanson fight, dude, that guillotine he cinched up near the end of that round, man. And even though he got blooded up and busted up, his nose was bleeding by Cub. For him to just go out there and clinch Cub like that and just overpower him and then submit him like that. Oh, man, that was such a beautiful guillotine. Like, that submission is such a beauty to watch sometimes. And it's very interesting to see how he did that. Will Volkanovski, can he do that? I don't think so. Volkanovski is a great wrestler. But, I just don't see that happening per se. Cub, he doesn't have bad wrestling or bad jiu-jitsu, but he's not the wrestler that Volkanovski is. He isn't as strong as Volkanovski. Volkanovski is he's just a strong individual in general. So I don't think he can do that. And then his next fight, Frankie Edgar. One of the saddest days of my life. 3 years ago, I wasn't used to seeing Frankie Edgar get knocked out. Now I've kind of got used to it, But this was sad, Frank Edgar basically, he was supposed to be fighting for the belt against Max Holloway, and Max pulled out. Ortega came in, I think on 3 weeks fucking notice, went out there and just put it on, Frankie. And if there's any, I think, solace in this matchup, if you're an Ortega fan, I would say Volkanovski is better than Frankie, but how I describe Volkanovski? I describe him basically if Chad Mendes and Frankie Edgar had a baby, and that would be Volkanovski, and he's basically the best of both worlds. He's a better version of both of them. He has the power. Doesn't have the same kind of power like Chad Mendes, but he hits harder than Frankie Edgar. I would say that he has the cardio that Chad Mendes never had. But I wouldn't say he has more cardio, but I would say he has just as good as cardio as Frankie. And his wrestling, I feel like, he's not as explosive as Chad, right? Frankie, I would never say he was the most explosive guy. He was just really good at chaining his wrestling and never giving up on position and just keep grinding. But like I would say, he has an ability to grind and be explosive. Like he's just a phenomenal fighter, and he's more of a well-rounded striker than both of them. So he throws way more techniques. But basically, back to the Frankie Edgar thing. If you find any solace in this matchup, Frankie's short. He's a wrestler. He has really good hands. I wouldn't say he doesn't have the kicks of Volkanovski, but that's like a matchup you can say, well, you know what? This is how he did against a wrestler. Like somewhat a bit similar to Volkanovski. And he knocked him the fuck out, man. The clinch, oh, man, the sin collar grip he got right here, and then he just threw that uppercut. Dude, that shit was wild, man. I was like, oh, I was so heartbroken. And he the crazy thing about that knockout is Frankie flew. His feet was off the ground. That was the worst part about it. And that was just heartbreaking to watch something like that. But it is what it is. Ortega, he got it, and he got the title shot. And I think this was probably one of the worst losses, of his career. And it's his only loss. He got battered in this fight. It was just one of them situations where, y'all must have forgot. Like, I mean, the people that doubted Max Holloway in this matchup, man. Like, yeah, I've picked against the guy too. Don't get it twisted. I know that feeling, man. He killed my boy Cater. But like, wow, what he did to him. Yes, I will say Ortega got some takedowns. I think he got some. Yeah, he got some He got one in the first round, but man, the striking was just on a different level. Max just threw faster and just more, and was just, oh my god, he was being evil with it, low key, the way he was battering Ortega's face. And then the combos he was landing, man. There was just this amazing combo he landed, I think in the second round, where he was just throwing, then threw a high kick. He was just going crazy. Like he was just on a different level than Ortega. Like, and it was nasty how he was battering his face, and like he was destroying him. Like in that fourth round, like obviously I will say one thing: Ortega did win a round. He won the third. He had a cool elbow, and he had a cool takedown. He had a good moment, and he's durable. He's tough. He didn't give up. I give him that. If anything I respect about this guy is his durability and his toughness. And we're gonna talk more about him as a human being later. I will mention some things about him that I found out a few days ago, but I'm not gonna bring that up right now. I'll give him his respect right now. He's a durable guy, but man, those refs and those doctors saved his life that day, man. He took massive damage from that fight, and even though he won the third round, he had good moments. That fourth round, he got decapitated and just blown out the water, basically, and they stopped it. They were like, nah, no mas, basically just saying. His coaches tried to keep him in, and he tried to stay in, but they were like, nah, this ain't going your way, man. You're gonna lose this fight. And a lot of people kind of doubted him after that. They doubted him, and there's certain things about this matchup where I'm like, wow, man, this is a tough fight for fucking Volkanovski. But it is what it is. And then he comes back, fights Korean Zombie after 2 years. That's how much damage he took. He took a lot of damage. He changed. I remember, I forgot the guy's name that commented. Really smart. I think Gabriel. Really smart guy. Knows a lot about Ortega. Is really informed about him. He's a big fan of him. And he was telling me that, oh, dude, man, Ortega, he changed his coaches. He did this whole entire thing for that 2-year process. Really improved his game. I didn't believe it. I thought Zombie was gonna beat him. You can check that breakdown now. Like I really did not see anything from Max Holloway. Throughout his whole entire, through that Max Holloway fight and throughout his whole entire other fights where he could do what he did to Zombie. And man, he had, sensational performances. His Muay Thai looked, so crisp in there. Like his striking looked so good. Um, he looked really really good in there. I was really impressed the way he caught body kicks or any kind of kick from Zombie and then returned it with a right in the first round. Just all the body kicks he was landing, all the things he was doing. I mean, it was just amazing. He was bald too. Bald Ortega is a different animal. I wonder if he brings it back for this fight. I don't know if he will, but he just was a different animal. He did look in. He looked a little toned up. I wouldn't say he put on too much muscle, or you could even say he didn't put no muscle at all. But I could see there was some, you know, he looked Anderson Silva-esque. It was interesting, his body frame, but I mean in that fight he looked really really good. What he did in the spinning back elbow at the end of the second round, man, even I can't hate on that. Like, that was I was amazing, bro. Like he killed it that day, bro. Like there's just nothing you can take from him. He fucking had, I mean, phenomenal moments in that matchup, and the takedowns he got were really really good. Yeah, good on him, man. He looked really really good there. Just the level changes, everything he did, he just a different fighter in there, and I just impressed. I was really really impressed, and we counted him out. I counted him out. Like, I didn't think he was gonna be able to do that. I didn't think he could do that, man. That just was nuts, man. And he was landing so many shots on Zombie, and he just made Zombie into a punching bag at one point in the fight. And yeah, he did his thing and got it done. And yeah, he's looked amazing. But if we look at Alexander Volkanovski's last 5 fights and what he's accomplished, I mean, dude, the guy's resume, I just super super impressive. Fight nothing but grinders in his division. His fight with Darren Elkins, the first fights I really saw of him, I mean, I was just super impressed. I was like, wow, this guy's a beast, man. His overhands, I mean, and the way he rolls with his overhands, like, or his straight rights, to throw that cross, I mean, it was beautiful. He got 2 knockdowns on Darren Elkins. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about Darren Elkins, but that guy is the epitome of working hard and trying basically not to let anyone outwork him. In this matchup, if I'm being honest, Volkanovski outworked him. He outworked him in the wrestling. Yeah, I think Darren got 1 takedown in the fight, and that was the beginning. And I don't know if we want to count that, like, Volkanovski jumped for a guillotine. I don't know how people count that in terms of takedowns or not. But Volkanovski, he got a bunch of takedowns on him. He defended a lot of takedowns from him. I mean, just he looked on another level than Darren, man. I mean, he was just crisp. And apparently, I don't want to make any, like, I'm not trying to hype up Volkanovski, but apparently he had like a broken rib for the fight. I think I seen that in the Submission Radio interview with him. He said like he had a real legitimate injury, and the fact that he was able, then they put him on painkillers, but like the fact that he was able to go out there and perform like that, man, with those kind of injuries, it's, man, he's on a different level. And then his next fight, Chad Money Mendes. I love Chad, and I do have a prediction, and I picked Chad Mendes to win this fight. I love Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes is one of my favorite. Chad and Frankie Edgar. Frankie, I would say, is my favorite lightweight of all time because I kind of grew up with Frankie in those Gray Manor fights. Chad, I remember when I seen Chad on the scene, bro, I was like, whoa, this guy's on a different level. I remember, I think, was it Clay Guida? I think it was Clay Guida was the first fight I ever saw from him. And I mean, it was like, whoa, this guy's a killer. Like, just watching him fight kind of motivated me to start wrestling in high school and stuff like that. He was just, oh my God, he was just on a different level than all of them guys, man. But, Chad was just so good, y'all. And Chad, he was coming off, I don't like it when people lie about this matchup. People say, like, this was Chad's first fight back from his suspension. That's not true. Chad knocked out Miles Jury, you clowns. You think I don't know anything about Chad's career? You clowns. So Chad was prepared to fight. I feel like Volkanovski fought a well-rested Chad, a Chad with a rested chin. because he was coming off a knockout to Frankie Edgar a while back. And I felt like he just fought a Chad Mendes that looked good. Yes, he deal with adversity. He dealt with a lot of adversity in this matchup. Actually, he got dropped. He got taken down. He had his back taken in this matchup. Like a lot of crazy. Like he got taken. I remember he got taken down in the first round, and then that second round, that round was crazy. That was such a great fight, y'all. That was such a great fight. And it's crazy. I was watching Ortega's interview, and the fact that this man said, he said it, I can show y'all that. Oh, I'll leave a thumbnail, and then you guys can go watch the video yourself. He said, Volkanovski's never been in a dog fight. Like he's what? He's never had to pull through adversity. And that's what he said about the man. And you watch this fight, he got dropped, then he got taken down, and even though he got dropped and he was getting hurt, he still was pressing the action, and he still was applying pressure. And then he got taken down, and then he got his back taken. He still got up, and he put the pressure on Chad. And then that was a passing of the crown moment. You are now the best short guy short guy wrestler with a good overhand in the division now. You hold this crown, base. So that's how I look at it. And that was just, I was just shocked. I was kind of heartbroken for Chad. I think Chad retired right after that. I think Chad was a lot hard on himself. He was like, man, I lost to this fucking number 10 ranked guy, not realizing that he lost to a guy that beat Max Holloway, and hey, you can say whatever you want to say about the second fight with Max Holloway, but that first fight with Volkanovski, in my humble opinion, beat Max 4-1, right? Chad almost finished Volkanovski. Like, he had moments, and I was just, wow. I was just so, man, I was so impressed with Chad, man. Not Chad, but Volkanovski, just to break Chad like that and just finish him and just put the pressure and gas him out, basically, and use his wrestling as his own kryptonite in the matchup. And that was just so amazing. And the fact that anyone says this man is a point fighter, it's just, man, that's just so stupid, man. This guy, he's a dog in there, man. I feel like he has a chip on his shoulder every time he goes out there and competes. He's not a point fighter. He's a good fighter. I think that's just, people don't understand the difference. They don't know what a good fighter is nowadays. But sorry for the interruption, y'all. But yeah, like I was saying, he's a great fighter. But yeah, in his next fight against Jose Aldo, y'all, he just dominated in there. Like, oh my God, like he out leg kicked him. He just kept him against the fence. There were good moments in there that Aldo had sometimes in the combinations, but he just looked off. It was like, wow, like I've never seen Aldo get treated like that. Yeah, I think Aldo even said it in an interview. It was like, Volkanovski is like one of the strongest guys he's ever fought. Like, and that's a big praise coming from a guy like Aldo for him to say that about you. That's wild, and it's crazy that he was able to do that to him like that. And that's just, yeah, it is what it is. And then he goes and fights the champion and Max Holloway, and UFC 245, impressive. Just like a master class of just striking, not getting too greedy in combinations. He could have got greedy when he was in the pocket throwing right hands with Max Holloway. No, he was like, nah, I'm not going to get greedy. I'm going to chop your fucking legs down when I need to. And then when you're trying to pressure me with your punches, I'm going to counter it right. Like, he just, every moment he had Max, he had him. Like, he just took advantage. And DC said it best. He was composed like a champion. Like, he's been there before. That's what's so special about him, is that he's not just doing this to guys that are nobodies. He's doing this to all-time great featherweights. Chad Mendes, I put him in that all-time. Obviously you can say whatever you want to say about the guy, but to fight for what, 3 featherweight titles, 3 pay-per-view main events, like, come on. And then Aldo, all-time great featherweight. And Max, some people call him the greatest featherweight of all time right now. So it's like for him to go and do that and just outclass these guys, it's just amazing, man. I thought he just won 4 straight rounds, in my humble opinion. The 5th round I gave it to Max out of pity, you know. But Max couldn't really do anything. Max was trying to really box with him, and that was the problem, is that Volkanovski had those leg kicks, and when it came to the pocket and boxing, he actually did good. He knew how to counter, but he knew, and I stress this, he knew what his moments were. He didn't get too greedy, and that's the problem. Is Ortega is like, if there's anything I can compare Ortega to, is that he kind of gets a little too greedy sometimes, and he'll try to like go off, especially even against Korean Zombie. He was able to kind of control it, but like after he knocked him down, he kind of got a little too greedy in there. He tried to like sling with him, but luckily he listened to his coaches and told him to back up. But like there's been multiple times in his career where he's been a little too greedy with trying to get the finish or just going forward and taking shots, and he's trying to use that shoulder roll, right? Like that shoulder roll like this, and it's just funny. But back to Volkanovski, I mean, just a champion, bro. Like just a champion. Handled that so beautifully. Just, I mean, amazing. Just the amount of leg kicks he landed was just amazing. But and then in the second fight, now Max came really good. He had a really good game plan. Max originally, a lot of people don't really know this. Max is a kickboxer. He has a kickboxing background. So yeah, he can box, and I do believe he works with amazing boxers in Hawaii and stuff like that. And some of the guys in his squad, like guys like Maki Patel, he talks about it. I love Maki. I still love Maki, y'all. I don't hate Maki. Still my boy. I got love for him. He talks about how he works with these guys and how they just, they're going to war. And, I think he kind of lost some of his kickboxing mentality, and he realized Volkanovski's coming at him with a kickboxing style. He can't just try to outbox him, basically, And he realized that one of the number one things he did to nullify the leg kicks and the leg kick disparity was throwing his own leg kicks. Now, yes, it wouldn't be too good, but one of the best things he did was, anytime Volkanovski would throw leg kicks, he would hit him right back, straight in his goddamn face. And he just did that so beautifully. And it led to him getting a knockdown in the first round with the head kick, and then getting a really, really good knockdown in the second round with an uppercut. And that's just one of these things where he was just timing him. You know what I'm saying? He was timing him. And that's how it works, like he was able to nullify his ace card in the matchup. But again, for Ortega to say this guy has no dog, like that just blew my mind away. For him, for that to happen to him, to have it basically go super wrong in the stand-up, right? Because he couldn't take him down in the first fight. If you remember, he tried to take Max down in the first fight. So for it to all go wrong like that in the stand-up, basically, when he didn't even think it. The third round was super close. He didn't get dropped. I thought he won that round. He did a lot better in that round when I rewatched it again. And the last 2 rounds to get those takedowns. And that's really, really what it comes down to. And there is a reason why Max actually stopped throwing those kicks, because you're easier to take down when you throw a lot of kicks like that. And that's why I think Volkanovski got so many late takedowns. And he just clutched it out, man. Like just that warrior mentality, that championship mentality. When all things go wrong, like John Jones talked about when he was fighting Alexander Gustafsson in those championship rounds, you have to show up. That's what makes you a champion. It's not first round finishes. It's not nothing. It's how you fight in number 4 and 5. And he fought like a champion. He was really defining himself in those moments, getting those takedowns, man, and just. Even whatever you want to say, if he lost the fight, okay, I understand that. At first, when I watched it, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, I think he lost it. I watched it a few more. I think this was the third time I watched it. Counting the time I watched it live, I can see Volkanovski winning. I can see someone saying that, and he just did his thing, And it wasn't those first 2 rounds weren't 10-8s, they were 10-9. So it's like, but and that's the thing about this matchup. What makes this really interesting is that the way when I look at this matchup, the way Max fights, um, can Ortega, resemble, or like, I guess, what's the word? I guess copy the way how Max fought Volkanovski that second time. Nullifying those leg kicks by throwing your own leg kicks. He did it. He did do it. So it's gonna be a really interesting matchup where we're gonna see who has the better Muay Thai, who has the better kickboxing in the matchup. I just believe, in my humble opinion, when I really look at it, I think a guy that graduated from Tiger Muay Thai does have the Muay Thai edge, but Ortega is always getting better. I have to give him that credit. He is always a developing guy. Wrestling, like this is where it's gonna look. Basically, let me break down this fight and how I can see this fight end up going, because this is gonna be a fight of inches, right? And who can take, like, an inch in the striking or an advantage in the striking for one round, and who can take an advantage in the grappling for another round. It's going to be like that. I can see Ortega being longer, right? But he doesn't have the reach, right? So what's really going to happen is that we're going to see Volkanovski try to pressure him, and we're going to see, I think, Ortega trying to fight behind his jab, right? He did that against Korean Zombie, but Zombie, he's kind of like one of them one-hitter quitters, like he's looking for a shot instead of creating a shot. Volkanovski will create those openings with throwing multiple jabs at you. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to wait for you to, he's like, Volkanovski is going to create those openings, right? So this is going to be a battle of inches, right? And, can Ortega get a takedown, or can he use his wrestling feints to set up his strikes? Can vice versa for Volkanovski? Because Volkanovski has one of a hell of a fucking overhand. Go look at what he did to Jamie Malarkey. That shit was sick, man. That overhand is nuts, what he's able to do. So that's how I kind of look at this fight. If the way I see Ortega winning this fight is basically continue what Max did for the first 2 rounds, and just, that's how you kind of have to beat him. You have to nullify his leg kicks, and then you can start opening stuff up. You see, you have to work, down below to get up to the top. You have to attack his body. If you want to hit Volkanovski in his chin and you want to knock him out, you're going to have to, he's too good for his head movement is really, really good. So you're going to have to play a little bit of mind games and set up and a lot of feints and traps, right? And he's able to do that. One of the special things, he set up, though, that spinning back elbow, that straight to the, to the dome piece of Korean Zombie, with body kicks, with leg kicks, a lot of feints, a lot of feints to his, he would grab or like slap Korean Zombie's legs and let him know, I'm going to shoot. He did that. And I can see him winning a decision that way. And if he can stuff all the takedowns, that's a big factor too. I think Volkanovski will take him down. I really do believe. I understand jiu-jitsu will play a big factor in this, but I think he'll take him down. We've never really seen Ortega controlled, and we're going to see how good Ortega's jiu-jitsu is. I really do believe Volkanovski will try to take him down at least a few times, at least 3 times. He's going to try. And the thing about Volkanovski is that he's one of the strongest guys in the division. You hear his strength. So, I remember there was a time a while back when Ortega was supposed to fight Khabib. There was rumors about that, and people were like, man, Ortega would be a really good matchup for Khabib. We're going to see if he really would be, because I could see Volkanovski trying to, use his wrestling in this matchup. Do I think he will? I don't know. That's on him. But I can see it, though. I really do see it. But I also can see them just, standing up and their grappling canceling out. I could see that too, and who has a better stand-up. And, I can see Ortega winning this matchup, I really can. You look at all the things going on to this, there's a lot of things. There's a really big shadow on Volkanovski's, head, basically. And a lot of people are doubting him. A lot of people are disrespecting him. And that can maybe get to him, and that can affect him badly. Maybe he might be like, oh, I'm going to knock out Ortega and try to go for a knockout and try to do stuff he shouldn't do. A lot of these things will play into factor. But for Volkanovski, how I see him winning this fight is, one, he has to make it his fight. The problem with Zombie is that he allowed Ortega to control the pace and the way the fight was going. Volkanovski's not going to do that, and I know he's not going to, and he will not do it. And that's how I just see he has to up the pace. We've seen him, fall victim to pace. When Max Holloway weaponized pace against Ortega, he wilt under that pressure. I understand it's Max Holloway, but we're talking about a guy that beat Max Holloway twice. So at the same time, I think Volkanovski has the abilities and is more than well enough qualified to accomplish that goal. And I think he has a real legitimate chance in this matchup. I really do think so. And that's how I can see him winning, just breaking him. I can see Volkanovski winning a decision. And last but not least, I know this is all the way at the end of the video, but I said I was going to bring this up. I found out Ortega is a little bit of a drug cheat. And I'm not a big fan of that. 2014, he took PEDs. He got caught for it. And the fact that the MMA community decides to ignore this and do not give him shit for it, yet guys like John Jones and TJ Dillashaw, and I'm not a fan of those guys at all, and they deserve all the hate they get, yet Ortega has gotten a pass for it, which is really, really interesting. Volkanovski is all natural. He is a hard worker, and there's and I know this might sound a little disrespectful, and I apologize if you feel that way. There's levels to this game, and you have to work hard for those. And obviously Ortega probably doesn't have that mentality to work hard for that. Volkanovski does. The facts, I will leave the articles down below in the description if no one believes me. It's common fact. I found out really late, and the fact that nobody talks about that Ortega used to took PEDs, and it is just shameful on our MMA media and our community that we just allow a guy to get away with that. And it makes sense why I seen pictures of him hanging out with TJ Dillashaw and Juan Archuleta. Sorry for the noise. It makes sense, him and the fucking Juan Archuleta's not on drugs, but like him and TJ just spicing it up with EPO. I'm not surprised that happens. But I think Volkanovski is gonna break this dude's face. And I say that respectfully. And I got Alexander Volkanovski to win this fight. I just think he's gonna show that there's levels to this game. He is looking absolutely shredded. I think Ortega does not know his opponent right now and is claiming these things that aren't true. And we're gonna see who can dig deep. I know Ortega is super durable, and I know he's never quit in a fight. I will give him that. But at the end of the day, I think Volkanovski will dig a lot deeper than Ortega and will break Ortega. And he could finish him late, or could get like a doctor stoppage or something like that. But I'm saying Alexander Volkanovski by decision. That's my pick. Hope you guys enjoyed the in-depth breakdown. I gotta go with my boy Volk, man. Team Volk in the building. And it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram. Do not forget to follow me on my Twitter. I love y'all. And goodbye. Also, if you're new, subscribe, like, comment, go share the video. Let's get the eBay Fight Prediction Nation growing. Go click the notification buttons too. If there's anything I forgot, I guess it is what it is. I love y'all and goodbye.